All right. So if this is your first time joining us, we've called these sessions inspirational chats, and basically it's a forum for you to be equipped, encouraged, inspired, and enlightened as you go through different topics with whoever our guest is, exploring different aspects of our faith. So we've gone through different episodes. This is episode 6. This is episode 6, and we're doing or we are exploring finances whilst in lockdown. Itohan is her name, but we call her Aitee Asemota. She works as a financial coach um, with Genistar. The company has a mission to teach families how to make smarter decisions about their money. So she's based in Manchester and runs a thriving financial education business across the UK. She loves God, she loves family, business, awesome friends, and white chocolate cookies, literally in that order. So, Aitee, thank you so much for offering us your time. And everyone else, thank you so much for making the call. Apologies for all the technical issues.
So guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Ify, thank you for the opportunity to also serve your community. And what I'm going to do is, I think it would be good to tell you a little bit about me, just so you know who is this chick with red hair that is coming to speak to you today about finances in lockdown. Please, can somebody just drop something in the chat, just so I know there's somebody here? Oh boy, honestly, fantastic. So as Ifeoma said, my name is Aitee, nothing to do with information technology, based on what I've shown you today, trying to share screen and almost sharing everything. And I don't know how many of you have ever found yourself in a position where you were going through a crazy time and you woke up and you said, today is the day that I'm going to change my life for good. So that was me a couple of years ago. I listened to a podcast, Imagine My Life 5 years in advance. And I realized that I had some goals and dreams that I wanted to achieve, but unfortunately, my salary could not pay for the things that I dreamt of. And I then decided to actually look for an opportunity, because if you haven't figured it out already, I'm Nigerian, I'm a Benin girl. And on one of the things on my list was a Range Rover, a white one, black alloy rims, red leather interior, because I support Manchester United, and I also and yes, and higher specifications available. That my salary could not pay for some of these things. My journey started when somebody invited me to a meeting to come see a business opportunity. I met the CEO, and then I fell in love with what the company do. And the CEO of our company, he actually sits on the board of Hillsong Church in London as their stewardship pastor. And some of the things I'm going to be sharing with you guys today is information that has been taught across all the Hillsong campuses in Europe. And when we do it in churches, we call it biblical economics. So you guys are blessed to be able to, for me to be able to share this information with you today. Awesome. So I have a feeling that I'm all here by myself. If you please tell me you can see me and you can still hear me.
I can see you and I can hear you clearly.
Perfect, no problem.
And I'm getting reactions, so I'm guessing everyone can hear you as well.
Awesome. You know, when you just go into that panic mode of, okay, maybe my broadband has frozen, nobody can hear.
Yeah, I'm getting comments. They can see you, they can hear you, so don't worry there.
Awesome, no problem at all. So I've sent Funa some slides, and hopefully she will send it to you, sis, because I just need a couple of it from there. So Ifeoma wanted me to talk about finances in lockdown, but I just thought we should actually talk about finances in lockdown and beyond, because lockdown is going to be over very soon, in a couple of weeks, but with the way things are going and all the stuff that's going on in the news. And I just thought I should let you know that most of the information I'm going to share with you guys today, it's not new information. It's not stuff you haven't heard before. But before you switch off, my question to you would be, have you truly implemented all the knowledge you've had about finances? Because knowledge by itself is not power. It's the application of the knowledge that's actually power. So before you switch off, just ask yourself those questions. So based on that, let's start. So for you to actually master your finances in lockdown and beyond, there are 3 relationships we all need to have with money. We all need to know how to make money, we need to know how to keep it, and we need to know how to grow it. Unfortunately, some people know how to make money, but they don't know how to keep it. Some people know how to keep it, but unfortunately, they don't know how to grow it. So what I'm going to do is talk you through the 4 key steps that we normally show to families on how to have these 3 relationships with money. Would you guys agree that those are the key things that you really need to know about finances?
Yes.
Awesome. Yes. Fantastic. So on your journey to mastering your finances in lockdown and beyond, the first thing you need to do is you need to cast a vision. So one of my favorite scriptures when it comes to money is Ephesians 3:20, where it says, the God we serve will do exceedingly and abundantly above all that you can ask or imagine. So my question, ladies, is this: what are you currently asking for? And what are you currently imagining when it comes to the area of finances? Because God's exceedingly and abundantly is available 24/7. But if there's nothing for that power to rest on, because they said 100 times 0 is 0, isn't it? So, because if you don't have a vision for what your financial future is going to look like, the government has already designed one for you. So in actual fact, retirement age right now was 67, but it's gone up to 68. And the government's plan is to increase it to 75 over the next couple of years. Can you guys imagine working till you're 75? And that survey actually says that if you were to put 100 people in a room right now who are approaching retirement, out of those 100 people, only one of them will be wealthy. Wealthy means they have a net worth of between 2.5 million pounds and above. And don't forget, your net worth is assets minus liabilities. Only 4 of them will be financially independent. So they typically have a net worth of about £500,000 pounds and above.
Wow.
41 of them will still be working, not because they want to, but because they have to. And it says 53 are dead broke because these are the people who are relying on state pension. So ladies, a good way to cast a vision would be this. How much do I currently make every month? How much do I currently have in my savings account? And how much do I currently owe? And then imagine 12 months from now, what do you want that figure to be? How much do you currently want to be how much do you want to be making 12 months from now? How much do you want to have saved? That's perfect, sis. And how much do you want to still be owing? So that's a really good place for you to start, because the truth of the matter is, if you aim at nothing, you hit it all the time. In Proverbs 29 verse 18, and this is my version, says the Passion Translation, it says, where there is no clear prophetic vision, people wander astray. So if you don't tell your money where to go, unfortunately, it will just leave your account. So ladies, I really encourage you, for those of you who are married, do this exercise with your husband, because at the end of the day, you are working with your husband with the area when it comes to money. If you're single like I am, guess what? Have a conversation and a meeting with yourself, because if you don't tell your money where to go, it will just wander away. So the moment you have a vision for where you want your money to go, the second step is you need to get some education. This is where you now start doing some research, where you now start filtering stuff. I think I was speaking to Ify the other day, and we're talking about, say, is it Money Supermarket, or what was that awesome site that you mentioned, sis?
Money saving
Money
experts.
saving experts, which is awesome. So guys, think about it. Before lockdown, how many of you had ever used algebra this year, apart from the math teachers in the house? Probably not many of us. But if you think about it, we spent a lot of time in high school learning about Pythagoras theorem. We learned how to dissect some things. I'm still looking for X, by the way. But since you're the one I can see, I might as well pick on you. Sis, in high school, did you get up to 10 hours of education about how to manage your personal finances?
Nope.
Exactly. Some of us did not get anything at all. So when it comes to managing your finances, when it comes to the education, I think if you share this bit about money mindset, so if you go to the next one, awesome. So on your journey to mastering your finances, there is a particular mindset you need to have. So if you think about it, as soon as most of us start making money, we start spending it straight away. And for those of you that have got kids, have you noticed that you never really taught them how to spend it? They just know how to spend it. And that's what most of us do. We make money, we spend money. And before you know what's happening, as soon as our income increases, sis, if you please go to the next slide for me, please.
Yeah.
Yes. As soon as our income increases, guess what we do? We buy a bigger house, or we buy a bigger car, or we upgrade our holidays from Blackpool to Disney World. And I think somebody said something one day that a lot of people are spending money that they don't have to buy things that they don't need, to impress people that they don't even like. So guys, when you start thinking about your finances, actually double check what you're spending on. Are you incurring more liabilities? Because the more liabilities you incur, the more expenses you're going to start getting. Because a bigger house means more council tax. A bigger car means more diesel. So before you know what's happening, because a lot of families now have a lot of liabilities, they now have a lot of expenses. And because of that, they now go into debt, because the income that they have can no longer support the liabilities and the expenditure. So my CEO is Jewish. And I'm sure you guys know that the Jews are some of the wealthiest people in the world, aren't they? Yeah. And he actually describes this phase as the wilderness mentality. And that's where a lot of middle income families are, unfortunately. You just make more money, you increase your liabilities, and then your expenses suddenly increase. But he said, the actual way wealthy people think is this. Sis, if you please hit the next slide, darling. He said, when wealthy people when their income increases, they actually invest in assets. So they start buying properties, or they start investing, or they actually buy a business that leverages their time. And what happens is those assets generates more income for them. And then the more income they have, they just buy more assets, and then they just keep going up and down, up and down. My CEO actually described that as the promised land, while the other bit is the wilderness mentality, because God has called us to a spacious place. So guys, when you have this meeting with yourself or with your partner, it would be great for you guys to just really work out where your money is going. And I just thought, for some of you in this place, you own your own properties, so you definitely like this bit. So sis, if you hit slide 7, please. Okay. So this one is a practical one that all of you that own your own homes can implement straight away. So what we do is we teach people how to pay their mortgage off every 2 weeks instead of paying it once a month. So let's say, okay, Ify, I'll pick on you again. So sis, let's assume you guys were paying £1,000 every month on your mortgage. After 12 months, how much would you have paid to the bank?
£12,000.
Exactly. But what we say is divide 1,000 by 2, which is now £500. Because in a year, you have 52 weeks, isn't it, sis?
Yes.
52 divided by 2 is 26 weeks. 26 times £500 is actually 13,000.
Yeah.
So when you pay your mortgage off every 2 weeks, you actually pay an extra month in a year. Because you have months like February, that's 28 days. And you have months like May, that's 31 days. And let me tell you how that makes a difference over a 25-year mortgage. On the screen, on your left-hand side is a family who paid their mortgage off the normal way, paid it off after 25 years. On the second side of the screen, the same 25-year mortgage, by paying it every 2 weeks, the family shaved 5 years of their mortgage. But the interest that they saved is over 52,000. So if 52,000 can send Ezra to university, isn't it?
Yes.
Exactly. And the reason why you save on the interest is because when you pay your mortgage off once a month, the bank charges you 30 days of interest on the balance that's outstanding. But when you pay every 2 weeks, they charge you for 14 days. You reduce the balance and they charge you for another 14 days. So in other words, when you choose to pay your mortgage once a month, you are saying to the bank, here is my child's university fees. I give it to you, which is not really smart, is it?
Yeah.
So now that you've been educated, the next thing you need is a plan. The truth is, most people don't plan to fail. They simply fail to plan. And in the Bible, in Habakkuk, it says, write the vision, make it plain. If you think about it, when back in the days when we do build houses the normal way, not the way not the way skyscrapers actually fly up in Manchester these days, but either way, when you're building a house, you at least you always have a plan, isn't it?
Yes.
Imagine if a builder came to you and said, Ify, the plan is in my head. You tell them, my friend, bring that plan out, isn't it? Yeah. the same with your finances. You actually need it to be on the plan. So sis, there is, you remember there was another download that Funa sent to you.
Yes.
Yes, if you click on that one, please. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the kind of plans that one. And if you increase the image a teeny weeny bit, if it's possible. So this is how we actually help families put together a solid financial plan. At the bottom of a financial plan is the bit that we refer to as the foundation. The foundation of any financial plan is risk management. Risk management is when we talk to families about things like life insurance, income protection, serious illness cover, and stuff like that.
Okay.
For too long, I have met that many Christians who say, Aitee, Jesus is my protector. But I'm sure you guys have received all these GoFundMe links where people are asking for money for funerals. Have you noticed that they can only ask for money for funeral, but they won't be able to ask you for money for the mortgage payments? I have a client who was supposed to take out a policy a couple of months ago. They kept faffing about. Unfortunately, he passed away due to COVID. He has left a wife with 5 children. They donated money for the funeral. Who is going to send those children? Who's going to pay for university fees? Who's going to put a roof over their head? When your foundation is right, the next thing we help families look at is debt management. We teach you something called debt stacking. Because for a lot of families, a huge chunk of your money is going backwards to debt. With debt stacking, We teach you how to come out of debt quicker so you can start sending your money forward to the things you really want. After we help you with debt management, another thing that we look at is expense management. I actually learned something from a book called The Compound Effect. I definitely recommend it. With expenses, it says Darren Hardy said, one of the best things you can ever do is write down every day how much you spend. Because I know that it's painful. I know that you're going to say ITY, but wealthy people track every penny. Ifeoma, how many times have you gone to the shop to buy just milk and you rock up? Okay,
Yeah.
ladies, this is where I need some confession here. How many of you have been to the shop to buy just milk and you rock up with like lots of stuff?
Yeah.
Exactly. So when you don't track your expenses, you start spending on wants instead of needs.
Yeah.
And then the final point, as soon as you have your plan together, is some of you need additional income. Oh, hooray, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
The final step is additional income. Some of you are going to cast a vision today. Some of you are going to get educated. Some of you are actually going to put a plan together. And then you're going to realize, sugar, I need more money. That was me a couple of years ago. I realized that this Range Rover wasn't going to happen on a HR consultant income. So I decided to go look for extra income. So before Corona, I used to say to people that even if additional income wasn't something you were thinking of, there's something coming to disrupt your industry. So guys, my question is, if your current source of income was to dry up at 12 midnight, can your family comfortably live on your savings for 3 months? If the answer to that question is no, you may need some additional income because you need an emergency fund. Emergencies will happen, whether we like it or not. And if you want to think about disruption, look at what Airbnb did to hotels. As we wrap up, I just want you to understand that for each and every one of you on here, you need to take action. So sis, if you go back into the PowerPoint, there's an action slide there. This is one of my favorite verses from Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 17. And it says here that those who built on the walls and those who carried burdens loaded themselves so that with one hand, they worked at construction and with the other hand, they had a weapon. On your journey to mastering your finances in lockdown and beyond, there's a part that God plays and there's a part that you need to play. I think I was speaking to Ifeoma about this, that as soon as lockdown happened, there were 2 scriptures that God dropped in my heart. One of them was Genesis 26:12, where it said Isaac reaped 100-fold in a famine. So I kept declaring, Itohan.asemota will reap 100-fold in a famine. So those are my full names if you haven't figured it out. And then the other scripture was in Exodus, when the Israelites put the blood of the lamb and then the angel of death passed by them and everything. And then if Funa, who is on here, she sent us a video from a lady called Terry Savelle Foy. And I realized that Isaac actually sowed before he reaped 100-fold. I was like, blood of Jesus. I said, God, so are you asking me to sow in this famine, given what is going on? So guys, if you think about it, Nehemiah's guys, they were building with one hand, they had weapons in the other hand. Some of us are praying for things that God does not do. God's power is available, but you have your own part to play. And I think for me, as the final bit, I would just say is, imagine what your life will look like if 10 of us on this call implemented some of the stuff that I talked about, and 12 months from now, we are further along in our finances. Or imagine 10 years from now, if each and every one of us on this call is financially independent and debt-free. What kind of impact will we have in our community? So there are only 2 bits of action that you need to take. Sis, if you hit slide 9, please. I would really encourage you. For some of you on this call, you might say, IT, I want that financial plan that you're talking about. That's something I'll be able to help you with. I'm also looking for people to partner with because my company grew by 30% in March. And the month of April is been our best month yet since we started trading in 2007. I'm looking for some people to coach on how to become financial coaches so we can really help a lot of us in this area. I love you all. I appreciate you. And I hope I've added some value to you. Thank you so much, Ife.
Yeah, thank you so much, IT. Thank you so much, everyone. Just give me a moment. Let me remove the screen. I will
Okay.
pass on IT's contact details again at the end, or attach it to the recording if we can salvage it, you know. But just give me a moment. Let me stop sharing.
No problem.
All right. So thank you so much. It's packed with a lot for us to go back, think over, and digest. But it's clear that we all need to be having a financial plan in mind and taking action, you know. I know a lot of questions were sent in, and I'm hoping that IT's chat so far has been able to um, respond or provide a response to some of the questions that came in. But I just thought maybe we could run through some of the questions, right? And then see if we need to, if you need to maybe shed a bit more light on those questions that were sent in. Is that okay by you, IT?
Sure, darling.
So, and the first question was talking about you sharing some financial planning, you know, with God, your own experience, and I believe you've touched on most of that, and you've also highlighted the steps involved in coming up with a plan and what financial planning with God looks like. But someone was asking if you could highlight the risks of over relying on worldly view or sensibility versus relying on godly wisdom when you're putting together your financial plan.
Mm.
I don't know if you want to add anything to in response to that question.
I'm on. Okay. So let me tell you what I think the question is, and Ifeoma, please correct me.
Okay.
So is the question, how do I balance what God says and what the world says concerning finances? Is that what the
I believe
question?
so. I believe so,
Okay.
yes.
I would say everything works hand in hand in my opinion. So if you think about it, so for example, I have a book on here. It's by a guy called Dave Ramsey. It's called Total Money Makeover. So thankfully he's a Christian, so it makes his resource really powerful.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, a lot of the success principles that's out there in the world, they all have their foundation in the Bible if
Mm,
you really break it down.
yeah.
So because if you think about it, most, like for example with what's it called, Dave Ramsey talks about you actually having a budget every single month.
Yeah.
That's what the Bible says. The Bible says that he gives you, he gives seed to the, he gives, when he gives you seed, there's a bit of bread that you need to eat. There's a bit that you also need to sow, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. So I
Yeah.
would say the question should be, when it comes to your finances, what are you aiming for? If you're planning to buy a house, there is some stuff you need to read on the internet about it.
Yeah.
Or better still, speak to a mortgage advisor. You can't just go into a mortgage meeting with just your Bible.
Mm.
They might call you crazy. So, in that sense, you need to balance it. You need to balance it. I don't know. I hope that answers. I think
Yeah,
the
I
biggest
think
question is,
that's perfect. That's
yeah,
perfect. And
yeah.
actually, the next question talks about if you could show us practically how to budget, if there are any financial planners you could recommend. And you mentioned Dave Ramsey. He's someone that I follow. He
Yeah.
has, if you go to www.everydollar.com, obviously we're in the UK and we use pounds, but if you go to that website, again, I'll put the link at the end. He has a free financial planning web page. It's free to sign up, and it's linked to your email, so you can get like monthly reminders to update your financial plan. It's very detailed. It goes down to every single, like, maybe goal you might have, or you want to save for, or your outgoings and your incomings, whatever. But I'm happy to send that reminder. I'll put it at the end of the link, but that's one person you could follow. And like Aitee said, he's a Christian as well.
Yeah, it makes it good.
But there are so many tools out there. You only need to Google. You can get Excel spreadsheets, but
Yeah.
the important thing is to just do some research and try out what has been recommended.
Just wanted to say something about the budgeting. I would
Yeah.
encourage you to look at your money at least every week. So I look at my money every Sunday morning. Because, for example, some of you have a budget for food where you say, I'm going to spend, say, $250 every month. If you don't know how much you spent in week 1, you can easily exceed your budget by week 3.
Okay.
And when we talk about expenses is not just about cutting down. Some of you are on here, you're married. There's no reason why a portion of your income shouldn't go to something called a fund account, where every quarter you and your husband decide you want to go to Leeds for a weekend, because some people might say, Aitee, we are budgeting. But those fun things will not happen if you haven't planned for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm just conscious of the time, and I hope everyone can just give us a few more minutes since we started late. But I just want to go through some of the questions just so people feel like, the questions they sent in are being answered. If you're okay with this, please give me a thumbs up or mention something in the chat so I know you're okay for us to go over at least maybe 10 minutes. All right, thank you. So the next one is, how do we tackle debts? And I think Aitee touched on this a bit, but debt is again another big topic. I guess it depends on the quantity and the situation that you're having, right? Thank you so
Yeah.
much, ladies. I can see the thumbs up. And I know Aitee, you might want to say something, but let me just say that I mean, over here in the UK, and I think they have now become international. There's an organization called Christians Against Poverty. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be in like serious bad situation, but maybe if you have quite a lot of debt and you're even having debt collectors calling you and all that, putting some stress on you, this organization can come in and help you, and can be the middle person for you, between you and that debt collector, and they can just help you get your finances back on track. Alternatively, Aitee is also, like she said, a financial educator. I'm sure she'll be able to help if you get in touch with her, and they can be able to help you and put you back in the right direction. So again, I'll put details of CAP, Christians Against Poverty, at the end of this chat so that you can find the help that you need. Aitee, do you want to add any other thing to?
And I think another thing you've also got to remember is when we say debt, your mortgage is a debt as well. So
Yeah.
some people say, oh, I have good debt, I have bad debt. It's all debt. So for example, I had a phenomenal couple that I was with on Zoom 2 days ago. And they had about their mortgage, they had 20K, they still had 20 years on it. And with the plan that I put together for them, I showed them how they could actually drop it to 13 years by using the same money that they're already using anyway. So you are correct, Ifeoma. So those are some of the things that we can help you with when I put a financial plan together for you.
Yeah, yeah. Someone mentioned also student loans, so they can help you with all that. And again, Aitee is a good point of call, to start, isn't it, Aitee?
100%. It would be my pleasure to serve you.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question is it wise to be mortgage free during this current crisis of COVID-19?
When you say mortgage free, like you've paid off your mortgage, or
should they be trying to, maybe if they have money saved, should they be trying to pump that into becoming mortgage free and not have any form of debt, or is it I'm just unpacking the question. They just said, is it wise to be mortgage free? But I'm guessing, is it wise to maybe have that pot of savings, or do you pump it into your paying off your mortgage?
I think it's one of them ones where what you've got to remember is your mortgage. I think the cheapest you probably get is about maybe 1.5% or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas on your savings account, the most you'll probably get is, say, maybe 0 point something.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's just one of them ones where you kind of weigh. I think it goes back to, where are you and your family heading? I think
Yeah.
that's the
So the
most important
financial
thing.
plan. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. That's the key thing. Is getting out of debt your main priority? If getting out of debt is your main priority, then maybe you may say, oh, let's actually pay some of the mortgage off. But if, on the other hand, you guys are self-employed and you're saying that's our emergency fund, then your decision may be, let us hold on to the money. So again, it depends on the family, and only when I speak to you and understand your situation will I
Yeah.
be able to give a blanket response. Does that make sense, sis?
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah. I know not everyone on this call has to battle with mortgages or student loans, but think about it in the context of, your own life and your own situation. Okay, so the next question is, what is the projected long-term impact of COVID-19 crisis, and can we plan or prepare now, to invest now or save now? I think you've touched on it, in the conversation so far. Plus, like you said, education, education, education. Go online. There's so much information there to know what is happening, if you want to know from a political point of view, from an economical point of view, isn't it, Aitee?
Again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, lockdown is going to finish very soon. The
Yeah.
impact of COVID will still be there, but don't let what is happening out there dictate your own financial economy.
Mm.
Again, cast a vision, get education, get a plan, and if need be, get some additional income. You are responsible for your own personal economy. England will go on. Sort yourself out first.
Yeah. Okay, so let me move on slightly over to something else. So a lot of people have been asking for if there are, other websites or places where they can get information. Like we said, well, one that I use is Money Saving Expert. I follow them. You can follow them on Twitter, but you can just go online to their website, and they break it down for you, the best savings accounts, the best mortgage deals, and all that. Another question that has come in is tithing during this period. Can I owe God, especially with pay reductions? So this is, I don't know, Aitee, what do you want to say? The body of Christ has not yet reached a consensus on this tithing matter. So I don't know if you want to add anything from your own perspective.
That honestly, that's a brilliant question. And for me personally, I only speak on things that I have experienced myself. If
Okay.
I haven't experienced it, I don't attempt it. A few years ago, I tried to be smart and I decided not to pay my tithe for a few months. And then, because I had some other things that I wanted to do, the devourer ran rampage in my finances. And ever since, my tithe is on standing order. So now it just goes out of my account. Because for me personally, I believe that when I tithe, I can actually say, Yahweh, you said when I do this, you will open up the windows of heaven. So for me personally, that's my revelation on what tithing is, because every single blessing in the Bible, oh, okay, no, let me not say, most of the promises in the Bible carry an equal bit of responsibility. So
Yes.
you sow, you get 100-fold. You ask and you receive. So because of that, based on my personal relationship with God,
Mm.
tithing is a non-negotiable. But I completely understand. For that particular question, I would say why don't you talk to God about it? What is he saying concerning the matter? I don't know. I hope I haven't. Please invite me back. I hope I haven't made you angry.
At the end of the day, no. That's, you're the guest, so you're free to express yourself. So yeah, I'll just say amen to that. At the end of the day, we all have a relationship with God, and I think that you should go back to God and pour out your heart to him. God is gracious, and explain your situation to him. Some people believe if they give to someone instead of tithing to the church, they've still done their bit. But at the end of the day, you have to make sure you're doing things from a place of revelation. You have to give out of love cheerfully to God, not because someone is compelling you, or you feel some form of pressure. So I'll just say, go back to God on this matter, have a genuine and vulnerable conversation with him, and explain your situation to him, and God always responds to his children. So just wait on him on this matter. Yeah. One more, well, there's a question on the chat that is linked to another question here. For couples, how do you carry your spouse along on this financial planning journey amidst other extra financial pressures being faced? And someone else was asking, what if your spouse is the cause of this debt? So, Aitee, I don't know if you want to contribute. I would say, this depends on the dynamics of the relationship. It might be worth bringing in a third party, someone who is like a neutral person, like a financial educator, maybe like Aitee. So if this person comes in, if you welcome this person into your home or your space, since we can't, social distancing and all, and you you bring this person in who, is coming as someone knowledgeable in the sense of finance. So it's not coming to point fingers at anyone, but just to advise you guys. That might be the best approach. Someone that can help break down the numbers with both of you present, and show you, show each person where they could improve. That might help the dynamics in terms of bringing your spouse along, or if the spouse is the cause of the debt, and someone being able to confront them other than you, that might help, improve the situation. God is gracious. Aitee, do you want to add anything to what I've said?
I think I'll be honest and say I have done this countless times, where I go to minister at a church and the wife comes to me and says, you need to come to my house. This is the cocoa of the matter. But when I walk into the house, most people think because we're talking about finances, that's the first thing I talk about. But in actual fact, the first question I normally ask families is about their goals and dreams. So that's usually a beautiful way to break the ice, because suddenly when you start talking about where you're going and where you're headed, people are then open to making a choice. 9 times out of 10, the reason why people don't change their habits is because there's nothing they're aiming towards. So the other day I was speaking to Ifeoma, and she said, oh, Aitee, I just got back from a run and everything. The only reason why she's doing that is because she wants to be able to live up till age 70, 80 and beyond. If she did not have that picture for herself, she wouldn't go running. So I completely agree with you, sis. When I hang out with families, we start with goals and dreams, and it's usually such a beautiful way to break the ice. And ladies, I agree with you. Unfortunately, sometimes, but I would say do it in love, because there are some families that I've been to where the husbands have not been receptive, but the women have just gone ahead to just grind and still show love and everything. And before you know what's happening, the husband comes around. I think using someone else, doing it in love, that always it helps. And prayer. I go to MFM from time to time. There are some things that only God can change.
All right. I think one more question so we can wrap it up.
Sure. Yes.
Someone was saying, with people being followed and out of jobs, any suggestions on how they can monetize other skills or generate other income streams? But they've also mentioned what are the tax implications or rules applicable to this?
Okay, I know for sure that I may be wrong. However, I'm quietly confident. So, for example, in my company right now, we have a lot of people who are furloughed that are working with us because my CEO went to someone in the government and really got some of the information around it. That your furlough doesn't mean you are not able to learn a skill that can generate income for you. So because of that, I have a lot of people that are furloughed that are working with me right now. But again, some of you can bake, some of you can cook, some of you can do some awesome stuff. Again, this is where spending time with God comes into place, where you can actually sit down and say, Daddy, this is where I am. What are we going to do so that we can actually keep generating income? He has the answers. Ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be opened. And he's got the answers.
Yeah, thank you so much. No other questions have come in so far, but I'm hoping that we've been able to touch on all the soft spots of finances that have been on the hearts of the ladies on this call. Thank you so much, Aitee, for sharing. I know there were a lot of stresses at the start, but the feedback so far has you've done an amazing job, and the content has been positive. So thank you so much. I'm just going to ask one more time. I think we have a minute before we shoot off. If anyone has any more questions, we can only take maybe one or two in the next 1 minute or so.
Or Ifeoma, I'll send you a PDF copy of my CEO's book, just so you
Okay.
can share it with the lady. It's called Your Journey to Financial Freedom, and
Your
it just
journey
has
to
10 steps.
financial freedom.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll send you a PDF copy so that you can gift it to the ladies.
Wow, thank you so much, Aitee. Thank you so
No
much.
problem.
If you'd like to reach Aitee, again, I'll send these details across, but it's Aitee Asemota, just in case you want to call her this minute after this call. It's 0788-270-5188. And it's Itohan.asemota at genistar.org. But again, I'll put the information in the link when I send it out to all of you. So thank you so much again, Aitee. God bless you. And thank you everyone for joining the call. I think even as we've all taken this step of joining the call and wanting to improve, I know that it's our own first step of taking an action towards seeing the financial freedom that we all desire and seeing the blessing that we all seek, So, and I know God will honor us in his own way. So thank you all so much, and God bless you all.
Amen. Thank you.